Have you ever wondered what your hands, heart, and intuition might reveal about your life? Welcome to Live Soul Readings, Hands, Hearts, and Higher Guidance with Cynthia Clark and Megan Brown. Each week, we explore meaningful themes, answer heartfelt questions, and offer live soul readings, intuitive messages, and higher guidance to bring greater clarity to your relationships, purpose, healing, and next steps. Want a chance to be featured live? Submit your hand photos and questions in advance. And join us every Saturday at 10 a.m. Arizona time. Because sometimes the guidance you've been seeking has been waiting for you all along.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another beautiful Saturday. We are going to be talking about creating new patterns in your life. So this is always an interesting topic, in my opinion, because, we are creatures of habit. And as such, sometimes we have habits that are maybe not in our best interest or not really designed to help us to move forward. So what can we do to change that? So let's just open up the conversation. I would like to just say that, we need to start paying attention to our lives as patterns. And if you have something, like let's say, for example, your money situation isn't what you would like it to be. Well, what are your money patterns? What are you creating in your life that is scarcity? That's just an example. But yeah, what's going on in your relationships? What's going on in your personal growth? Are you actually meditating to go inward and tune into that inner voice? Or do you just give an excuse that you can't? This is one I hear a lot. Oh, I can't meditate. That's just an excuse. So anyway, this is our topic for today. What would you like to comment on, Megan?
Well, it's funny. I've heard that as well a number of times. I can't meditate. I can't keep my mind still. And I always share with the individual that it's not impossible. And you don't have to not think about anything because they think they have to have like this clear mind. That's not the case. I mean, you can focus on water, literally focus on the beach. And as you're focusing, look for the details of it. That's how I like to direct people. So yes, in fact, you can do it. It's about training yourself, and it doesn't happen immediately. I know that. But the other part of your question is that some people get shoved into changing their life patterns, such as myself when I had kidney failure. So I had been a stay-at-home mom. I had been in great physical shape and so on and so forth. And life was just everything that I wanted it to be. But then all of a sudden, it's like, the sands of time got turned over and I had to adapt to my new normal. So it was about not resisting the new patterns that were in front of me that needed to be learned. But that took me time to really understand that, because I really thought, oh, everything's going to be back to normal. Everything's going to be the same. And I'm just going to go, and I'd have to start listening to my body differently. Oh, I didn't have all of that energy to exert any longer. So the medical crisis that I was faced with made me change patterns.
Yeah, absolutely. I think illness is one of the best pattern interrupters, right? Because we have, we go through our life. Yeah, we feel a certain way. We, behave certain ways. And then suddenly, especially if it's like a really dramatic illness, that comes up, it's like, whoa, major pattern interrupter. And, a lot of people don't think the way that I do, but I always look at an illness as your body is trying to tell you something. And it's trying to tell you something that you need to heal within yourself. And so there's always an emotional component behind every illness. There's always a reason for it. It's not just to punish you it's not random. There's nothing random about your illness. And it's really important to pay attention to, okay, what can I learn from this? When I got divorced from my first husband, I had vertigo for 9 months.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, talk about debilitating, crippling problem that nobody could help me with. The doctors can't do anything for vertigo. And I couldn't drive. I basically couldn't do anything except for lay on my back flat with my eyes closed. So meditating actually became my number one thing.
You got sucked into new patterning through that.
Yeah, the universe was providing me with a redirect that I needed because it knew that I was going through a major emotional pain. And that's exactly what vertigo is all about. It's like literally you feel like your life is spinning out of control. So that's the emotional behind it. And so when you're feeling out of control, what happens? Well, you go into fear. And when you go into fear, well, you certainly can't be productive, and you can't be doing what you used to be doing. Right? So we need to look at that illness as, okay, and I knew this too. I knew exactly what was going on. So I told myself, okay, I'm going to take this as my opportunity to meditate. I'm going to go inward, and I am going to change my pattern. And it took time, it took effort, but little by little, I turned things around and I healed. And of course, my vertigo went away.
Wow. Well, I love that you were so calm about it, because I'll tell you, I did not feel calm. I was scared. I was very, very scared because I knew I was dying, literally. But the other thing was that I kind of felt like I was angry at the universe. And I was like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you taking away my walking ability again? Because my first NDE was at age 9, and both my legs broke in my car accident, same spot. And so I was in a body cast from here all the way down to my toes. And I was in that for just under 4 months. And then I had another cast put on my right leg for, just under 4 months, so that the legs could heal. And so I thought, ooh, okay, I'll never have to go through something like that again. Who would imagine that? No, it gets better. So when I had my third NDE in 2007, that's when I got a side effect of the TTPHUS that included paralyzation, and I couldn't walk. And so that's why that was one of the things that I remember being upset about with if, because I was an atheist, if there was a God, why are you doing this to me again? Like, what, 2 times in my life? You've got to be kidding me. Right. So I had that. I had a resentment to, and I was an atheist. So it's like, I didn't even know toward what, but I can say that I was the victim of the circumstance. Right. And I literally was. Okay. Yeah. You are the victim of something happening, but I didn't know how to step beyond that mindset then.
Yeah.
Look at it with the, the gentleness, like what you're describing of, okay, well, I can use this time to meditate. No, Megan was like, what the fuck? I mean, that, what's going on here? Oh, I was, yeah. So we get And then each of our reactions, well, they don't have to be reactions. It sounds like you responded well. I reacted like, what the F? Come on.
Yeah. Well, and that's the four things that I always tell people we're in charge of. You know, we're in charge of our thoughts, we're in charge of our feelings, we're in charge of our actions, and we're in charge of our responses. So, yes, if we are reacting, that is coming from that fear, and we're not responding in a positive way. So, I had already been doing, healing work and energy work for well over, by that time, well over 15 years. So, I knew what was going on. I was terrified though,
Yeah.
because I was alone for the first time in my life, and I really didn't know how to be alone. I had spent 19 years being married, and then before that I was with my, family. So I never lived by myself. I was never alone. I wasn't alone very much, I was always with somebody. I was like, wow, how do I just be alone? Like, to me that was so weird.
It is rough when you have to
Yeah.
go through something and you're alone. It is so difficult. Um, wow. I mean, to have had that and then to have faced feeling alone, I know I was alone when I went into the hospital for this, and because I knew I was dying, but I also, like you, was afraid. I was so afraid of dying. And I thought, oh my God, my son's 4 years old. He needs his mother. And oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to? And I fought. I was like fighting to get people's attention, the doctors simply, and the nurses. And at first, before they realized that I was in kidney failure, they were ignoring me. And I later had a nurse tell me that they were ordered to ignore me because the doctor couldn't figure it out. And so he didn't take one specific blood test to check my kidneys to explain why I'd gained 43 pounds of fluid in 3 days. So he didn't think to do that, and why I was turning gray. So it's like, okay, all of these different things. And that was scary to me. Not only that I knew I was dying, but that I couldn't even get the medical attention. They weren't believing me. So that
Mm,
was another level of fear. So I had like the fear of, my son losing his mother, the fear of dying, the
mm,
fear of being alone because my then husband wasn't there by my side. And then I had the fear of, how do I become my own advocate in such a situation? You know?
mm.
So
Yeah.
I can understand what you mean about being afraid, of like when you're going through this alone, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. But I also feel that and this took me a long time to learn. I did not learn this right away. It's okay to ask people for help and say, I can't drive.
That's true.
Whatever it is,
Well,
I'm so
yeah.
tired. I've had to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I ended up doing as well. And I took the bus. We had good transportation where I was in Colorado. I was living in Aspen, Colorado at the time, and they have excellent public transportation. So I would just take the bus everywhere, and it was interesting because you sometimes meet people on the bus. And I ended up meeting one of my best clients, you know, um, just from being on the bus. And it's like, yeah, if I would have driven, I never would have met this person. So sometimes it's a blessing, right? The universe is trying to redirect you in different ways.
Absolutely.
And the other thing about being alone too is I learned to really have a new relationship with the divine. So I was always very spiritual, but this was really like, okay, this is a test. At least that's what I was thinking in my mind. It's like I'm going through an initiation. I'm going through something I have to go through, and how can I be more in touch with the divine? So I used to play games with the divine. And so as I was starting to meditate more, I was a little skeptical at first. I'm like, is this really working? You know, a lot of us wonder that, right? Because there's a lag time from when you do something to when you see a result of something, especially if it takes a long time. And so I asked the universe, I'm like, you know what? I would like to see a sign to just know that I am on the right track, or that I am doing something that is beneficial for my well-being and my future and all that. And I got the sign the very next day. So I asked for red and pink roses to be shown to me.
Really?
And yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was a very specific sign. I'm like, well, what do I like? You know, and I was really tuning into my own preferences. And this is something you can totally do too. And I just said, I like roses. I like red and pink roses. This is how I was thinking at the time. And I'm
Oh,
like, if the universe is on my side and is going to help me, I want to see that. And so the very next day, I ended up going to a ski swap, and I needed a new pair of goggles. So if you're a skier, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Most of the time, the goggles have like the black straps with the logo of the company on the side, you know, like Oakley or whatever. And there was, I don't know, maybe 200 pairs of goggles on the table, and there was a sales guy, and he hands me this pair of goggles, and he's like, "Here, try this pair." And it was the one and only pair on the entire table that had red and pink roses on the strap.
oh my gosh.
And
Really?
I'm like, whoa, what is this? And I'm like, it's my sign.
Oh my God. It sounded like an explanation of you just entered the Twilight Zone. You're going at a ski shop. She gets the pink and red roses. How bizarre and wonderful and beautiful. Wow.
Yeah. Well, and that was what was so wonderful, is you never know how these things are going to come in. You know, you think it's going to be somebody delivering flowers to your doorstep, but trust me, it doesn't usually happen like that. It happens in such beautiful, creative ways that is, I mean, it's almost, in my humble opinion, it's magical. It is magical how the universe tries to deliver your wish.
It really is. It really,
So we have to interrupt this pattern, whatever it is that's happening that's negative in our lives, and we have to redirect it in a positive way, right? So, I mean, I just can't stress enough how important it is that we use our free will to actually do this, right? We have free will to decide, you know, what is it that you will tolerate? What is it that you are tolerating? And it's probably because you have something within those four things that I talked about that's out of alignment within yourself. So anyway, I
yeah.
mean,
Listening to you, I'm feeling the that I didn't know that um, creating patterns for yourself in your life is a power. I didn't understand that. So, I got shoved into the NDE course where I did meet God. I did have to go to this place that I thought was just a fairy tale. And I'm looking around like, oh wow, this is pretty amazing. However, I had to come back and figure it out and unpack it on my own because nobody around me was speaking a language that I just went and learned, right? And so that was the beginning of being faced with, okay, so how are you going to do you now? It's like my son used to tell me in high school, Mom, you just do you. Okay. He knew some of the things because I'd already had the NDE. So I couldn't like, hey, try, nah, Mom, so, okay, that's fine. But I don't know. I think looking at the power, when I think back on it, the power to be able to make a decision and a choice to shift your mindset. And that is really a power. But beyond that, I firmly believe we have a responsibility to do so as a soul here on this planet. And that I only feel this way as a result of my NDE, because it was so profound, because I've seen the magnitude of love, like the largest earthquake you could ever imagine, 10.0. We'll just say on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 10 and beyond. And it shook everything down to rubble within me. And I had to figure out, like, oh, what is this? What is this? What is this? And what I've come to understand is that choice is something that can never be taken away from your mind. So you may not have everything in front of you like you had previously, such as myself going through the health crisis. But what I did have was the ability to make new decisions and to create, because making a decision is also a part of creating new patterns. And so the further away I got from that, I thought, wow, this is really beautiful. I have the ability to show up in my day, in my own thoughts, how I choose to do. Nobody can take that away from me. There are so many things in this world right now I'm looking at and I'm going, I won't say, but it's just, okay, what can I do? And what is my participation going to be to assist where there's assistance that's necessary? And so I feel that I have a responsibility now to help create patterns as well for other people. And that is through prayer, because I can't make it 5,000 miles away from me. I can't get there. I can't pull children out and go, come on, you're coming to my house. I can't do it. So what am I doing? Well, I'm working on my book and I'm trying to get it done as quickly as possible, but I'm also sending them love. And I know the power of heaven as I've experienced it. And I'm asking that love blanket and protect and do everything that love is. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I wish it for everybody. So that is how I'm choosing to show up with the pattern of my life. But that evolved. I will say that, like, look, I got shoved into something I never would have signed up for because I'm so stubborn. And then being a Taurus, right?
Which can be a good thing, by the way.
It can be. It really can be. But in that regard, like, I would have said, no, I'm not taking that class. So God knew, like, oh yeah, she's not signing up for this one. Just shove her in it. No. Make her stay in this class so long she'll never forget it. And that's exactly what he did. Oh, we're going to give her everything. No, just throw it all on her lap. And so I had to unpack all of that emotionally, psychologically, physically, and spiritually. And okay, so what do I do with it all? And anybody can identify with this. Anyone can identify with this because we all get hit in life. And so sometimes the hits are not great. Some of them are good. Some of them are that assistance, but we always have the opportunity to shift our internal patterning. And it's so incredibly necessary to do so, or you're going to get sick. Like you said earlier, with the burrito, your body is telling you something, because I know it did me. My body said, no more.
Well, and trust me, the warning signs came well before my divorce. I started getting all sorts of nudges from the universe. That gut feeling, that's what you got to pay attention to. And oftentimes that gut feeling comes in little instances, right? They're instantaneous and you just know things. And so I knew that I was in a transition period in my marriage when, we sold our restaurant. That was a major turning point. So I used to own a restaurant. We had it for 7 years in Southern Utah. And my husband came to me at the time and he's like, I want to sell. I'm done. He was burned out and he was older than me. So he had already been working restaurants for a long time, and I totally get it. So I was aware, like, okay, you know, but at first I was like, no, no, how can we sell our restaurant that we've had for so long? And, it was almost like I was addicted to
The
just the,
familiarity.
well, yeah, that goes to our next point. Yeah, the familiarity, even when it's painful, because I was working 100 hours a week, 80 to 100 hours a week. I was on my feet well over 10 hours a day. I used to get restless leg syndrome because I was on my feet for so long. And definitely over 10 hours is going to screw up your body in a lot of ways. And so at the time and yet I was still clinging to it. It's like, no, we built up this amazing business, and it's funny how we do that, right? Again, it's like this is a pattern, and I was addicted to that pattern. But I knew, like, hey, your body's already starting to tell you, like, you're in pain. Those anti-fatigue mats can only take you so far if you're still going to be on your feet, for that many hours. And we didn't take days off. We worked 7 days a week.
Oh my.
And so, I mean, I affectionately call those now my slave years, because I learned later that there was a purpose for that. And I was actually clearing karma to when I used to own slaves in past lives.
Wow.
And it's like, wow, that's pretty intense. Like, the universe didn't tell me this, of course, at the time, and I didn't learn it until much later. But we can heal stuff like that. And so there's a purpose for everything. But we can also change it. And so my husband was saying, hey, it's time to change. And he was definitely ready for all sorts of reasons. And it took me a little bit of time to catch up. And that was, I look back on that with a lot of gratitude now, because what did it do? It pushed me into my next career, which was reading hands.
Oh my
And
gosh. Wow.
I mean, who would have thought? Like, I'd go from being a restaurant owner to reading hands. They're two completely different careers. They're not even close to the same thing. But the universe is like, no, we got something in mind for you. But if you keep doing what you're doing, we don't have room to show you anything else. Right? So if you're working in a restaurant, 100 hours a week, it's like, well, there's pretty much no room for anything. Right?
Yeah. I just got a visual as you were sharing this. I think of a toddler, like, who just learned how to run or walk. Well, not walk, but a toddler at like 2, where they're just like so excited, and they have a little bit of freedom in an open area, and they laugh, and they're running, and then all of a sudden, no, 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 you can't go over there. And so you pick them up, and then you say, oh no, you can't go over there, because that's over near the street. You want to stay here where it's safe, right? So the universe is going, oh yeah, we can see you're just moving toward that street. You're going to keep walking into the street. We got to pick you up now. We got to put you over here. That's how I hear it. It's like, we're all the toddler on this planet, That's how I think. God's toddlers.
Yeah, we totally are.
I've got the answers. Really? Because I learned we don't, until we start living as love on this planet, as love's patterning. We're not getting it. We're just not getting it. Truly, I mean that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how, you mentioned the collective, because yeah, we have our willpower, but we also have the collective. The collective has a willpower as well. And that's actually on the hands. There's 2 portals, and they're the ones on the thumbs. So the right thumb is the portal of willpower. The left thumb is the portal of collective willpower. You can actually bring your 2 thumbs together, and you can connect the 2. So when I do collective work, that's what I do, is I'll bring my 2 thumbs together, and it helps you integrate into the collective consciousness what it is that you're praying for or you're intending or whatever invocation you're using. And it can be very powerful work. So a lot of times we think we're helpless to change the world. It's like, oh, you can't change the world. That's a negative thought. That's a negative belief. And it simply is not true.
No,
So we have so much more power than we give ourselves credit for, and that we actually use. So my challenge to everyone out there listening is pay attention to your patterns, your thoughts, feelings, actions, responses. Pay attention to what are you putting out to the collective, and what do you want to put out to the collective.
absolutely.
Okay? So that's one of the reasons Megan and I are here every Saturday is so that we can put out something positive to the collective and to the universe and to anyone who happens to be watching us live or watching us on a replay. We are so passionate about helping others empower themselves. I mean, ultimately, that's what we're doing. Is I want you to feel like you have power to change your life, power to be the person you are, power to be happy and joyful and living a life that is fulfilled and contributing, right? Because you are a contributor to this world and you matter. You need to recognize how much you actually matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'd like to add something to that. In my first book, I wrote about the word prayer. And it's something that I was forced to do growing up in the Catholic Church. And then as an atheist, yeah, there's no proof here, right? So for 18 years, I went around like, no, whatever. Okay. But now I understand like what you're talking about in, helping the collective, okay? Helping one another is in prayer. I looked up the word and I broke it down. So prayer, I describe it as being a science because prayer simply means having the intentions, right? And whatever you're praying, hopefully positive, is going to be heard because it does get heard energetically. It gets heard. And the prayer should become a muscle. This is how I describe it. The prayer, when it's said over and over and over again, if you only pray once a day, then, and if you stick to one of the same prayers, that muscle builds. Like, you don't go to the gym and sit down a day and go, okay, I got all the muscles. Now they're all here, right? No, you have to work at it. You've got to put time in. You've got to be dedicated. You've got to be focused and committed. And so with prayer, it's the same thing. Now, I'm adding in the science because I was once an atheist. And so to hear that word, I would have cringed like, la, 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 la. Yeah, you lost me. But now, if you break it down as the energy that you have the power to use, well, okay, use it. It's so incredibly powerful. And getting to your point about we don't know how powerful we are, it is so true. And all of the years that you've been studying and all of the years that I've been studying, just receiving more information, it's like, wow, there's more. There's more to this universe that is so incredibly magical because so I was standing in heaven and God said, he announced, he's just talking. And he says, Megan, love is magic. Magic is love. And I looked at him and I said, magic is real? And he said, how do you think the universe got created? And I thought, whoa, because I didn't know anything about magic. I didn't know, where was I going to learn that, right? That's what he said. So the magic of our thoughts is so incredibly powerful. And if we come together and, wherever it is and give each other just the nourishment that our souls need so that we can help move it forward into another direction. I mean, we're doing our jobs. That's how I look at it. But
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, some comments here in the chat. Hi, Namira. She says, I believe in prayers. Lori says, hello, everyone. And Trina says, thank you both for your positivity and encouragement. And as we, the collective, feel it. Okay, great. So, yeah, and I was prompted to bring in a prayer. It's, you could call it a prayer, you could call it an invocation, you could call it an affirmation, whatever you want to call it. But I received this in a automatic writing transmission a while back, and it came in from Mary Magdalene, who is one of my favorite guides, spirit guides. And, you know, she always brings in some beautiful messages. And so if everybody would like to join in on this one, I just call it the morning gratitude prayer or the morning gratitude invocation. And it really sets up your day to be really positive, you know? So it's like, okay, maybe you're not having the best day. You read this and you just immediately feel better. So I actually have like a little, I write this out and I read this every day. It's on a little 4x6 card. Okay, so, and by the way, if you want to join in with your portals, you can bring your thumbs together, right? And then put it up by your heart, because that really connects your willpower with the collective willpower. Okay, so this is what it says. Thank you, beautiful dawn, for another day here on this glorious planet. I call in and welcome Mary Magdalene and all the team of the higher dimensions to be with me this day and all days to assist me in choosing my most aligned path in harmony with my authentic self, greatest joy, and greatest passion. I welcome healing and activation of all palm portals as I now bless my life and my co-creation with the one creator. Thank you. And so it is.
oh, I love that.
So it's nice. It's short and sweet, but it's like really powerful. So
That is powerful. I love that.
yeah. So, and I know you do prayers too, Megan, when you work with people and when you tune in with people. You know, these things are all really positive. I do that as well. And I just make sure that I'm connecting to that person when I read their hand, that I'm connecting to the messages that are going to be the highest, you know, the highest messages that I can share with them. And when we set that up and we do that, we're bringing in the awareness of our power, and we're bringing in the possibility of we want the highest timeline to be shown.
I love that.
So
Love that.
everybody who's listening, we're talking about creating new patterns. And so I would like to also just mention that we have, Megan has a class coming up. So we're going to talk about her class, which is called Who Did You Have to Become? So Megan, tell us about that. And I've got it up here on the screen for anybody who's interested.
Great. So I can tell you what prompted me to start this class is having grown up in the Roman Catholic Church and being told who I needed to be and being told what it was that I had to do. And then life, you know, we all get shaped into who we need to become according to those who are forming us, right? In all these different ways. This is not a negative thing. This is just everybody's reality. And we as a humanity tend to fall away, not always, but in some regard, we fall away from ourselves. But who are you? And who did you have to become? And how is it that you don't know who you are? Because nobody knows who they are. I can tell you who you are. I can tell you that you are love. But what does that mean? So there are these different stages that I've actually experienced in my life because of my NDE, and have put together this process, if you will, and program, a 6-week course to help people better understand themselves, to give them the tools to assist them in whatever direction they're choosing to go in life, and to help them understand the power that they have. So it's so important.
Yeah, it is super important. So yeah, you can just go to conversationswithmegan.com/event-list if you're interested in joining Megan for her upcoming class. And I also have a class that is, it's an ongoing class, so you can sign up at any time. And I call it my Abundance Alignment course. So when I was meditating, because this is what I do, is I meditate and I do this process called automatic writing. I receive messages through my writing. And one of the things that came through is that we have these 8 essential intentions. And you need to have these 8 essential intentions anchored into your energy field in order to manifest anything that you want. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I never really thought about it this way before, like the structure of manifesting. Most people think of it as just, the law of attraction, of you have to think about what you want and receive it. It's like, yes, that's all true, but there's 8 intentions that are behind that. So that's what this course is all about, the Abundance Alignment course. And I take you through all 8 of these intentions. I have different guided meditations that you can listen to with really beautiful custom music that I had created specifically for the portals that I work with through the hands. So if you're interested, you can just go to ascension17.com/courses, and you can see the Abundance Alignment course in there. So we are also happy to answer your questions because we are here to do soul readings. And so if you have a question, we would welcome you to just type it into the chat right now. And Megan and I would be very happy to assist you with whatever is on your mind today. But yeah, we are talking about creating new patterns. So maybe you have a pattern that you're interested in changing. And I want to talk to you about just the people who are in your life. So while we're waiting for questions to come in, you want to surround yourself with people who are supportive in your big goals. Right? So if you have somebody who's around you all the time, who's putting you down, telling you how stupid you are, telling you, you can't do that, these kinds of influences are not what you want to focus on. Right? Because that repetition, if you're constantly being told that you're not good enough or that you can't do something, your mind and your emotions are going to start believing that. So sometimes we have to actually let go of people in our lives that are not really, serving us in the way that we're moving into who are we becoming. And sometimes we just have to turn off that noise. Also in things like social media, in the news, I call it the weapons of mass distraction. That's how I refer to them. So, but yeah, Megan, what would you have to say about that?
Well, it's interesting. I was thinking a couple of things, and I got sidetracked because it's like, okay, here's what I thought. When you want to turn somebody down, in other words, turn down their volume and the distraction of whatever, or what it brings up for you as you're with them, hearing them, whatever it is, you want to ask yourself, why is this happening? Why am I reacting this way? Why does my body tense up? Why do I think this way when this individual, does whatever it is? They could just say something. They could always be that, the Debbie Downer, that quote, that saying. And I'm not knocking any Debbies. I know them. It's like, what you have to do is ask yourself, what is it that I'm receiving here? Because the moment that you can look at it and understand what it is that's really you're being affected by, it goes back in your childhood, or it goes back to another past life, of course. But in recognizing that, you're allowing yourself to not be reactive. So having a different perspective and being the observer of the situation instead would benefit you greatly. And I feel like you're able to breathe, and there are no rules in that other than love. So if you're in that mindset that you really want to heal from whatever it is, or you really want to work through any situation, I know it's kind of like all over the place, but it's all connecting to what it is that you're saying, then don't be affected. Don't have any reaction to it whatsoever. Instead, love it. And I can think of a few people I've literally had to just, okay, I can't have an interaction. One's my mother. However, it's also great because now when she reaches out, I can respond, and everything is, it's non-reactive. And that is a place I never thought I would get to. So it is such a power, because what you're also doing is cleansing your aura. You are cleansing your energy, because that's all the aura is. It's your energy of light. You're cleansing it so that the harmony within you can be sung, really, through your thoughts and through your words and through your interactions. And if you don't sing love, then it makes it a lot tougher. And everybody, does it to themselves, and ultimately does it to themselves. And that's really like broad. I get it, but dial it down to whatever level you need it at.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions coming in. Okay, the first one is from Namira. She says, I don't have many people who support me, doing a lot alone, giving more peace. The right people will come, I heard. Am I right? Thank you. Okay, so yes, let's go ahead and just pull a card for you. And yeah, finding peace and harmony is very important. Absolutely. If you don't have like actual physical people in your life, you have to start becoming your own best friend, first of all. So be your own best friend. And I'm also just going to pull a card here for you as well. You can also call in your angels and guides, any specific archangel or spirit guide or galactic guide. You can always call them in. You can call in any relative living or dead, or any person living or dead who you would like to have assist you. Yeah, the card coming up is the Seven of Air. Okay, so the disguise line. This is really interesting too, because it really represents, it's saying the people in your life could be disguised as helpers in a negative way.
That means, oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like, so they could be negative around you, and yet they're disguised as friends. And I've talked about this in another live stream, actually. It's interesting. But if you think about, everybody in your life is actually here to help you, regardless of how they're showing up, because sometimes it's going to show you the opposite of what you want to do. So if they're really negative, and you can look at that and you can go, oh, I don't want to be like that. You have to consciously choose the opposite. So, because we live in a world of duality, right? So sometimes we see things more clearly in contrast. Okay, so let these negative people show you exactly who you are not choosing to be. That would be my first advice. And then I think Megan has something to add as well.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting how you just said that, who you are choosing not to be. Because how I look at people who are doing this is, and I can think of one individual right now who I actually said something to a year and a half ago privately. And it was not, it's as though they were my friend, but it it didn't come across that way. I kind of felt like there was an agenda behind the individual. And that, well, I have to speak to it. So it's a time to also recognize when something doesn't feel right around someone, or doesn't it appears one way but it's not feeling another. You've got to give your words to it. You have to speak to it. But to get to the thing that I saw and what I heard was, one, you're never alone. And, heaven's just going, just tell her she's never alone. And you are always surrounded by love. You are always protected in all ways. All you have to do is talk to them and just be there and just ask for what it is that you need to feel. If it's more love in your life and to be understood, ask them to infuse you with even more love in that regard. Ask them to provide you the angels to infuse you consistently for the next 24 hours or whatever it is, with a feeling of like that internal knowing everything is fine by myself, knowing that you're not alone. I mean, I hope that makes sense, because it kind of teeters on something there. But the other thing that I saw for you, Namira, is that all the ones that I call on, they were all okay. The bottom row of the pyramid, they had water up to here, and it was just kind of like this, but they could breathe. And the other thing was that they had red roses, each one of them, on the top of their heads. And then the others were in the background, and I could see their full body, which means that there are things that are clear, and there's white around it, which means that you can see clearly what's happening. And so you feel stunted in what's going on right now in some regard, and perhaps as though people are trying to stop you. It could be one person when I say people, okay? But no one can stop you. And then those in the background that I see, they're like, it's like roses, red and purple, are coming out. And it's really beautiful. So you have a lot of love and a lot of flower essences. The frequencies of the flowers are beautiful. I was even told in heaven that the rose is the highest and holiest frequency of love on earth. So in terms of a flower. So for
no wonder I love roses so much.
See, there you go.
I've always been attracted to those roses. Yeah. Okay, well, beautiful. Okay, so thanks for your question, Namira. Yeah. We got another one coming in here from Trina. And she says, when you recognize that you have a destructive pattern, how do you take a first step in changing that pattern? Okay, that is a great question, because that is absolutely critical, right? So we come to that awareness. We know we are here to shift, and we have to look at the 4 things that you're in charge of. Okay, so your thoughts, first of all, what is the thought you're having around that destructive pattern? Is it disempowering or is it empowering? Okay, so for example, if you're always broke, do you constantly think about scarcity and always being broke? Do you hang out with broke friends? Do you, you know what I mean? Like those kinds of thoughts. So then we go to emotions. What emotion are you having around that destructive pattern? So we need to pivot the emotion to be positive, right? So it's like, well, what do I prefer to feel instead? And usually the quickest way out of any destructive feeling is gratitude. So just being grateful for something. It's like, okay, I'm going to be grateful for the beautiful sunrise I just saw this morning. Go into that feeling, and that immediately is going to shift it. Number 3 is you look at your actions. What is one action that you can take that is going to change that destructive pattern? Okay, it doesn't have to be, a 12-step program, like we think about Alcoholics Anonymous, for example. It's like, oh, I got to do 12 steps. It's like, okay, yes, maybe eventually you're going to do 12 steps, but what is one step that you're going to do? Okay, and then do that step. And the fourth one, which is the one we talked about at the beginning of the show, the responses. How are you responding to that negative pattern? And so, I always give the example of the one I used to have, and that was getting really angry at people in traffic and driving, right? I'd be driving and I'd be like, like that road rage stuff. And then after I became a pilot, I was suddenly way more gentle with traffic. It was interesting. It shifted my entire perspective. And so now, that's a response, right? So we can respond differently to that person who cuts you off. You can be like, oh, just go right on in. Maybe you're in a hurry. You're part of the collective. I'm going to send you love that you will hopefully get where you need to go on time and you'll be happy, right? Like that's a totally different response than, screw you. Right? How dare you cut me off? And I can guarantee that's going to make you feel much better. So, yeah, Megan, anything you want to add to this question?
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought of so recognizing, number one, that you have this, tendency to lean a certain way, right, in how you deal with things. Having a little notebook with you or a journal or something, I mean, paper, anywhere. You could even do it on your phone, but I think it's better if you have a piece of paper and you just carry a pen with you. And when you know that, even if it's at the end of the day, oh, why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that. Write it down and do it in black ink, because black is a very grounding color. It's every color. So it's every emotion. This is how I look at it. And when you write it down, I want you to date it at the top of your journal or notebook. And then underneath it, I want you, in a very non-judgmental way, there is zero judgment here of yourself. You can't judge yourself. Ask yourself the question, why did I, whatever it was? And then write it down. Boom, whatever that was. You don't even have to think about it. And if you have to think about it, okay, so listen and just see where it connects back to, because it's always going back towards something. And then the other thing that I would suggest is to add classical music. So, Mozart himself told me in my NDE, he created the love frequency, and Bach has beautiful love frequency music as well. So I would add that. I would add like a binaural beats, 963 hertz or something like that, 1111 hertz, and just allow yourself, you're retraining your electrons and the ions and the, molecules inside of you. So work with you using these other like elements, because the elements are really they're all attached to the way in which you think. And I write about this in my book. I know it kind of sounds funky, but it really makes sense, because what you're working with is yourself. But what you want to do is hold yourself accountable. And that's what you're doing is, one, you've recognized it. Oh, I have a tendency to do this. Okay, we all have something that we're working on in this life. But think about how far back also. Think about how far back this type of response or behavior pattern goes in your life. And I am telling you, that is exactly why you came into this life, is to work on that. Become friends with it, because it is to assist you in clearing previous patterns of another life or lives. That's what I would add.
Nice. Yeah, Trina's responding. She says, that's wonderful advice. Thank you. I appreciate you opening my perspective to thoughts and emotions as well as gratitude. I will try the written exercise and music for deeper understanding. Yeah, I would also add, if you're really looking to change a pattern, the best frequency is 417 hertz, because that's considered the undoing frequency. So if you want to undo something, listen to that one, and then move into some of the higher ones like Megan was talking about. That's a good way to do it. So you are very welcome. So, yeah, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. If you would like to be featured in a future episode, by the way, all you need to do is scan that QR code at the top of the screen, and you can submit your hands and your questions, and we are happy to take a look at that for you. By the way, next week is super exciting. We are moving into August, and next Saturday is going to be August 8th, which is the Lion's Gate. So that is going to be our topic for next week. It's going to be all about abundance and prosperity and all those wonderful things. And I do have some special things planned for the Lion's Gate because it's a powerful time of the year. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining us for today on creating new patterns. And anything else you want to add before we wrap up, Megan?
Yes, thank you. And I wish everybody love and happiness in everything that you do. And don't judge yourself. It's not worth it. You just become the observer to yourself. And in being the observer, you can love yourself unconditionally. It makes it a lot easier. Those are the parting words.
All right, well said. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and go ahead and create a beautiful life for yourself for today.